Thank you so much for joining in on this module today, where we will be looking at weaponized pathogens. This weaponized pathogen module is divided up into two parts. So this is going to be part one, and then after this, there will be a second part to follow. So in the previous module, we looked at different types of nanotech, and we also looked at how they are actually connected to different grids, portals, constellations, how it actually works. Because normally when we are testing for these weaponized pathogens, which I will be explaining more in the following modules, it is very important to note that it is actually connected to all of this. And the reason for that being is because Satan is really using all of these things that Abba has created for his purpose. He is distorting it, he is using it, he is bending it and mixing it so that at the end of the day, God's people won't even take notice of those things. The reason why we looked at portals and the grids, and we looked a little bit at witchcraft, is because we are sometimes very scared and reluctant to go to those topics and to research them for ourselves, because we are scared that we are going to open up ourselves to the demonic realm. But when we are facing a battle like we are facing currently, where bioweapons are being used, where nanotech is being used, it is extremely important for us to understand how all of this is actually interwoven, and that there is something like this that exists. So yet again, I just want to say that all the information that I'm giving and sharing with you is for informative purposes only, and that this is only a short course that is based on the basics of nanotech, but it doesn't contain all the information, and further study needs to be done. So when we look at the word pharmakeia, it is very important to note that the word pharmakeia, when we look at the Hebrew and the Greek meaning, it actually means sorcery. And the reason for this being is when we go back to the origins of pharmakeia, we will see where it actually all started. And the founders of Pharmakeia weren't really in line with God and God's purpose. And they really took plants, they took extracts from plants, they took the essential oils from plants, and they mixed that to really find this synthetic signature that is also linked to that specific plant, and to replicate it at an enormous amount that they will distribute then to clients. Pharmakeia is really a huge industry with a lot of dark loopholes that exist within it. So hereby, when I explain pharmakeia, I by no means say that all the doctors that that we know of are aware of this and that they are blindly following pharmakeia and what it stands for. We get brilliant doctors that are extremely good at what they do. And this by no means, I by no means are saying that they are busy with sorcery and witchcraft. I just wanted to elaborate more on this so that you will also see how all of this is interwoven. And when we look at health, we have to look holistically at health. And this is also what I strive for, is when I see clients and when we are working with clients, we have to work with them holistically. That means in body, soul, and spirit. We can't just diagnose the body, give a pill or medication, and then accept or think that there will be lasting results. We have to look at all of those areas, and we have to look at ways to support the body. So, pharmakeia in Revelations 18, verse 23, we see by sorcery were all nations deceived. And that word sorcery goes back to the word pharmakeia. So, coming back to nanotech and the course that you are currently doing, we need to understand that there have been certain genes that Abba has made, God has made in our body that can actually detect this nanotech. So I believe that God has designed our body in this way. He has designed the immune system in its ability to really identify these weaponized pathogens that we are going to discuss, as well as the nanotech and how it is all actually interwoven with one another. So God has given us these genes, but they have found a way to actually introduce nanotech and weaponized pathogens in the body so that they, by the end of the day, can actually switch off these genes. So with the early child vaccinations, we're going to look at that as well. There are certain things that are inside of these vaccines that's also not really good for your body. And there can be different forms of nanotech that's also included in these different types of pharmakeia medications and things that you are using. So there are certain genes that is also named the God genes, and that is the VMAT2 gene. And if it's switched off, it has the ability to renew the mind and take away the desire to repent. It can snuffle out spiritual pursuits where it stunts a person's ability to connect spiritually with God and have an intimate love relationship with Him. So, isn't it amazing that God has included this gene within our body, but that they also know this because these are the doctrines of demons? It is the information that the Nephilim and demons, in cooperation with Satan, is introducing to all nations, where they want to switch off this gene, which means that you will struggle to have that spiritual connection with God if this gene is switched off. So I'm going to share some clips on Dr. M.K. Straden's teaching, and you can also go and find her on YouTube as well as Rumble, where she is explaining the Antichrist and the agenda of the Illuminati and so forth, just for further reference. I'm not going to go into depth with that because that is information that you also have to look at yourself. So, via the artificial intelligence controlled digital nanotechnology introduced into the body of the global population, for example, through pharmaceutical deception and the digital identification mark. So, here we also see that it is very important to note that it isn't just the jab that was currently introduced a couple of years ago, but it has been introduced to the body for the last 20 to 30 years. We also see here that there is really a tendency by the fourth industrial revolution to really incorporate nanotechnology into the body. And this has been made known by the World Economic Forum that they want to include this in the human gene and they want to use that for human gene editing as well. So we are now in the times of occult science called transhumanism. I want to highlight the word occult science. It's very important to note that. Mixing the human body of man with machines and robotic technology that is controlled by artificial intelligence of computers. So let's look at biological warfare. For the purpose of this module, where we are going to look at weaponized pathogens, we have to understand what is biological warfare. So according to Wikipedia, biological warfare, also known as germ warfare, is the use of biological toxins or infectious agents such as bacteria, viruses, insects, and fungi with the intention to kill, to harm, or incapacitate humans, animals, or plants as an act of war. So this is a definition of biological warfare. This is something that they have been using, that they have been studying with DARPA, as well as Project Paperclip, where they have been studying and looking at this intensely, how they can introduce biological warfare through bacteria, viruses, insects, and fungi. So a biological weapon, often termed bioweapons, biological threat agent, or a bioagent, are living organisms or replicating those entities. For example, viruses, which are not universally considered alive. Okay, we will look at the concept of viruses in some of the next modules as well. So insect warfare is a subtype of biological warfare as well, where they use insects. So a biological weapon may be employed in various ways to gain a strategic or tactical advantage over the enemy, either by threats or by actual deployments, like some chemical weapons. Biological weapons may also be used as area denial weapons. So this is extremely important to note. This opens up a whole new world, or I would say a whole new can of worms, when we are looking at what we are currently facing. But God has given us a plan. He has given us instructions. He has designed the body in a specific way to identify these things, so that you can actually get rid of this out of the body. So weaponized pathogens, there are different types of these pathogens. They are naturally occurring. They are either mutated. We also call it germ warfare. We also call it weaponized pathogens, like your GMO that you find. They have been creating bioweapons a long time ago, and they have been testing it and monitoring its effects on the human race. So there are different types of weaponized pathogens. We get weaponized mold, weaponized bites like spider bites, tick bites, mosquito bites, as well as in unclean animals, weaponized fungi, weaponized bacteria and amoebae, weaponized yeast, weaponized viruses, weaponized flukes, and tapeworms. They are all coated with different coatings that will make it impossible for the immune system to identify it. Like I explained in the previous module, these weaponized pathogens are introduced in water. They are introduced in food. And the different ways that your body can come into contact with it is through your skin, through the nose, which is the lungs inhaling it, and then also through the digestive system by ingesting it. So this sorcery and witchcraft, this is sorcery and witchcraft, and it takes the plants and their oils and adding it to something that is synthetic, that has the potential to damage the immune system and the cells in the body. And the reason for this being that pharmakeia will then make money off of this, because if they find a way to introduce nanotech into the body, it will create dis-ease, as well as with all the traumas that people have in their life. The fact that their soul area isn't healthy will then also just feed this. So this means that you won't be healed. It means that pharmakeia has the ability to say, listen, you have high blood pressure. You will have to use this medication for the rest of your life. And this is not God's intent. God's intent has never been that we should use something like medication for the rest of our lives and just accept that as part of our reality. God has created our body, our immune system in a beautiful way to self-restore and to heal and to repair. So this means that a lot of these cells and the receptors on the cells will be blocked. So this is what medication does. Medication does not heal. Medication has the ability to block the receptors, meaning if you, for example, have high blood pressure, you'll use medication that will actually block these receptors. But the moment that you stop using the medication, you will have high blood pressure again because we're not dealing with the underlying cause. And I'm not saying that nanotech is the only reason for that. But what I'm saying is that we have to broaden our mind. We have to look at the different factors that is contributing to disease in the world. So this means that you will be dependent on medication for the rest of your life with no way to heal. Was this God's intent from the beginning? So weaponized pathogens can be things like GMO. They can take a few organisms and put it together to form a new organism. And these organisms invade the immune system. This basically forms a new periodic table and new metals. So we have to understand that when we look at the body, we have a biofield. I cannot go into depth into the biofield and what the biofield is in this module or in this series on nanotech. But there is another course that is available, and you can also go and visit the Quantum Academies SA, South Africa, where you can go and listen to some of the courses that Alzan has with regards to the biofield and how that actually works. So it's also very important to note that the biofield is your protective shield, it's your protective layer. The biofield is actually also the immune system. It makes up 60% of the immune system, which is in your biofield. It is a shield. So if somebody comes into contact with that shield or something comes into contact with that shield, this is where we trust we always used to say it's your intuition. But this is the biofield, the shield, the protective layer that works with Holy Spirit, that works with God, so that we can see and feel and understand if there are things that's not quite right. But their mission, the global elite, as well as the Nephilim agenda, is really to disassociate your biofield, which is actually also called your quantum field. So weaponized pathogens, like I said, they have been creating diseases all along. So using all of these different types of technology under the mantle of saying, calling what is evil good, introducing that. And it has been layer upon layer, even from our childhood, even from birth, from the first injection, from the first application of these things. It has been layered upon layer upon layer to where we are currently at. So like I said, weaponized pathogens can be injected, inhaled, or sprayed. I've also included on the Telegram group, I have included a lot of information about how planes are being used to spray different things in the air. And it has also been used with a warfare with regards to rain, introducing too much rain to a specific area or a country. They have been doing that for a lot of years now already. And they have also been introducing these things through what is currently known as planes. They've been spraying it. So nanotech can self-assemble, like I said, and it forms a network in the body. It can turn on different markers of epigenetics. and it is very intelligent and it can hide. And it is very advanced and connected to SITs, which we will be looking at in the next module. So remember, man did not discover it. This was developed technology and it was given by demonic forces. So weaponized pathogens, it is also known as weaponized nanotech pathogens. They are a mix of seeds of organisms, technology, and toxins. So remember, if we use the machine, say for example, the quantum machine that I have that I also test DNA with, when we find a lot of toxins in the body, this can also be a huge indication that there is weaponized pathogens or weaponized tech in the body. They are linked to wireless technologies that are very advanced, and we looked at this as well. Weaponized pathogens can be things like GMO. They take a few organisms and they put it together to form a new organism. And this new organism that they form is really, it is modified to suit their needs and their agenda. These organisms invade your immune system and they basically form a new periodic table and new metals, like I said. So this is the end of the first part on weaponized pathogens and witchcraft. We will be looking at it in the next module as well, where we will be looking at the second part of weaponized pathogens and witchcraft.